I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter.
I'm riding in the bucket of a tricycle being ridden by two young men on the road leading to Chemuso, a suburb of Samara Boy in the western region. He was jumping, so he just jumped. That is one of the guys operating the excavator. He just jumped off and he's gone. This morning, and the operation is still on. They got team. This shows how dangerous the mining sites are.
Chinese.
This morning, and the operation is still on. There you have one Chinese man running up there, and it's been given a hot chase by the Vanguard team, and he knows his route very well. And there, another black-skinned man. So it's the morning after the raid in Biposo, in the Menfi East district of the Western region. And here, I thought the last place was our last part of call, but it so happens that this place here indeed is the last port of call. And one Chinese and one dark-skinned young man have bolted. They were given a hot chase, but they know the terrain so well. You know, we had 14, so 15, 16, 17 miners have been picked up in Biposo. So let's go inside and see what we have in here. And as usual, I see car batteries, I see gas cylinders, 2 fridges, a standing fan, cooking utensils. I see some crates of eggs, gallons, and I must say the gallons are filled with some kind of oil or fuel, if you like. I see cement bags, and I see lots and lots of mining equipment scattered within the wooden makeshift building. The police, 2 of them who form part of the Operation Vanguard team, have started investigating. In fact, I must say they just picked up 3 casings, and I see 1 under the bed. So in addition, it will be 4 casings, and now he's being questioned as to where he keeps the weapons, and he's being evasive. I find 2 camouflage jackets. This feels heavy. This is the black. I can see the black. The black is actually what the miners call it, but it is the gold. The primary source of gold is what we have in this basin. It's filled with the black, and I see a bucket with what looks like a washing machine, and the black is quite a lot in this basin. And so after doing the damage to the environment, they bring it in here, and this is where the washing actually takes place, and finally they are able to extract the pure gold out of it. And in the background you can see the washing is being done, but upon seeing the joint military and police Operation Vanguard team, they've all bolted, abandoning 2 excavators and a washing machine. I see another washing machine up there. So 2 washing machines, 2 excavators, and a pumping machine all have been abandoned here at the mining site. As the demolition is taking place, you can see far above the pits, the townsfolk who have given out their lands to these Chinese miners to be pillaged have converged here and are looking on as the mining machine used by these Chinese miners are being destroyed by the Operation Vanguard team. After the demolition of the mining equipment, the makeshift structures that the illegal miners use as their abode have also been set ablaze here by members of the Operation Vanguard team.
Thousands of liters of diesel
and petrol used by the miners to power their nefarious activities in the forest have been destroyed in the operation. Makeshift structures serving dual purpose as shelters and laboratories where extraction of the real gold takes place are also being crushed and touched by the team. Excavators and earth-moving machines are confiscated in the process, and where low-bed trailers can't get to due to lack of access deep in the forest, the equipments have been immobilized by the members of the Operation Vanguard team with the technical competence. Giant washing machines with trapped gold dust are being mangled with the excavators, all in a bid to break down the financial muscle of the defiant miners. At the last count, the Operation Vanguard team had carried out not less than 700 operations in the Western, Eastern, and Ashanti regions, where the team has forward operating bases to take the war to the defiant miners. About 1,060 rebellious miners have been arrested in the process, including foreign nationals, as explained by the spokesperson of the Operation Vanguard team, Squadron Leader Omani Ejeyi.
About 1,059 arrests have been made so far.
And in 1,059, we know there are other foreign nationals involved in the illegality. Can you break it down for us?
The foreign nationals involve about 132 Chinese and some other people from Togo, Burkina Faso, the Chinese. And the Chinese so far we have arrested for the Togo, Burkina Faso. We have not arrested much. We have arrested I think 1 Togolese, 3 Burkinabes, Nigerians and Nigerians. But for the Chinese, we have arrested about 132 of them.
And how many of these individuals are facing the courts now?
You know, when we conduct operations and we arrest individuals, we just send them to the nearest police station within their area of operation. And almost all of them are before court. Almost all of them are before court.
You can see that on authority?
Yeah, I can see that on authority.
And you have the slightest idea as to the number of those individuals who have been sentenced, if you like?
Those individuals who have been sentenced are around 73.
But the Joint Police and Military Task Force wants a more punitive sentencing regime.
When it comes to the deterrent nature of the punishment, that is where I seem to have a little problem. Because if you go to the court and you give somebody, let's say, 2,400 fine, a suspected illegal miner, then if he goes back to the community, what signals is he sending out there that you can just go and do it and you'll be fined and then you pay?
And you get away with it.
And you get away with it. I hope you're understanding me. Yeah.
So you would rather want to see a much more deterrent action being taken or sentencing regime? Yeah,
and that will give us also some morale, although we are well motivated by superior commanders. That's them. I'm talking about the CDS and IGS.
He also tells me how difficult it has been for the Joint Police and Military Task Force to flush out the miners who have now adopted evasive strategy, strongly backed by influential people in society. One of such is this physically challenged man who is known in this area as a negotiator. Anytime the task force makes arrests, he would boldly approach to negotiate the release of the illegal miners. But this time round, he was quick to crawl back into his car that brought him into the forest and speed off when he saw our cameras. Government of Ghana and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources in the project appraisal and implementation document, which is to oversee the implementation of the multi-sectoral mining integrated project (MMIP), has among the objectives to strengthen the socio-economic capacity of mining communities, improve environmental and health conditions in mining communities, apply appropriate technology like drones in monitoring the activities of artisanal small-scale miners, among others. The latter, though, is yet to be realized, and the spokesperson of the Operation Vanguard team tells me they are looking forward to the technology.
If we have drones that can go high, about 7 kilometers, and then capture these illegal miners before we go to pursue them and arrest them, it will be very good for the operation, because it will aid in the prosecution. You know, when you go to the courts, they demand for pictures. Though we have cameramen, but if we have drones that can capture these illegal miners, it will aid us in our operations.
Because I know the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, and the minister mentioned this, that as part of this war on Galamsey, they were going to purchase drones and all of that. Is that to suggest that till now that has not been done?
No, for now it has not been done.
The journey took me to the Ashanti region. Here, like the Western region, some businesses in the mining community have collapsed following the ban. Players of the industry have now been rendered jobless. President of the Association of Small-Scale Miners, Evangelist Collins Osaikusi, says the ban has seriously affected the income levels of the miners.
The ban came unexpectedly. You know, many of us take loans from banks to buy equipment, because this our work is capital intensive, so we need a lot of money before we can do mining. So most of us has taken a lot of money from banks. So now that we are not working and the banks are chasing us, what will you do? Some of us properties has been taken by banks, and some too have sold their properties cheaply so that they can pay the banks. And even yet we couldn't do that. So it's not easy for us at all.
So it has not been easy. You just made a point that some of you took loans from the banks to buy equipment, hoping to invest in your businesses, and then the ban came in unexpectedly. Yeah. Now banks are chasing you. Are you going to let it go, or you follow the law and sue and get your money back, or you just let it go?
Actually, you know, I'm talking as a association president, but concession is taken individually. So some people have made their mind to take such actions, but it is not a case. It is not the association as a whole that is going to do that. So that depends on individually.
Members of the association have learned lessons. According to him, the small-scale miners are willing to support the government in the fight against illegal mining operations in these areas.
Illegal mining has even gone up, because now there's no more new registration of licenses, no renewals, and people too are hungry. We all know that in our nation we don't have enough work. Even we have unemployed graduate association. A lot of people are not, even graduates are not able to get even work to do. Unemployed graduates. So people are forcing themselves to do illegal mining, because the soldiers they brought, the Vanguard, how many are they? In this country we do mining in about 8 regions. So if you have we have deployed about 400 people to come, and how can they do it? This country, no. So if they go on left, the Galamsey people too go right. So it's hide and seek, and they are working. So if they say that it didn't work at all. And if the miners, those with licenses were working, they could have even helped the government, because if they are there, they will see to that the illegal miners will not get chance.
Evangelist Osei Kusi also accuses some appointees of the Akufo-Addo-led administration of backing the illegality.
For this illegality that is going on, some people or some is being backed by the government officials. How can someone go into the forest and mine? First, we have somebody there as a forest guard using this sophisticated machine equipment. This equipment cannot run quickly. This wealthy equipment, somebody can just send it into a forest and destroy it. So don't you think, or if you are not having a strong hand behind such a person, can the person work? It's something we all have to face the fact. We know it's true. We have been telling them everywhere I go, the ministers, everywhere, I've been telling them. So if you are telling them, you people are even doing the serious galamsey. Yes, the government officials. Some of them are the typical galamseyers.
The allegation has been trumpeted by many, including town folks and other small-scale miners, but so far, none has backed those claims with any concrete evidence. But with brisk small-scale mining activities taking place in the Diasu forest under heavy military protection, one may want to give credence to those allegations. One theme runs through the regions. The ban has created unintended consequences of collapsing businesses in the regions, but there appears to be some improvement in the quality of the many water bodies which were polluted by galamsey. The story was no different when I visited the eastern region. I have come to Chebi, the president's hometown. The impact of galamsey on this town is enormous. Former President John Dramani Mahama once described the town as the headquarters of galamsey because of the extent of the impact on the environment. The Birem River has shrunk so much, it now looks like a tributary. Even with that, residents tell me there's been improvement in quality following the ban. The fate of businesses here are no different from their counterparts in the other regions.
They got a headpan, local headpan for galamsey. First time I was selling some of these pans, and as well as the shovel, they got their own shovel. So I was selling one of the shovels. So that helped us a lot. And a bucket, you got a galamsey bucket. Oh, but now you see there's no bucket, there's no galamsey shovel, there's no galamsey headpan here. Because you don't have anybody to buy, because there's no galamsey in this town again.
Prior to the ban, there were two types of small-scale miners in the country. Those with licenses operating legally and those without license and were operating illegally. As at December 2016, the number of small-scale miners was estimated to be around 1 million people. Artisanal small-scale mining contributed 31% ounce of total gold production nationwide. The small-scale mining sector also produced 174,439 carats of diamond, representing 100% of total diamond production in the country in the year under review. The ban means the nation is losing a lot of cash.
The ban on small scale, in my opinion, we have done studies, is not necessary. We needed to accompany the small scale people, register them by force. Maybe that was why we kept quiet on the ban, because if it to force them to register and help to build capacity, teach them how to mine, but don't deprive them from making a living. Some are being asked to go into other sectors. They will not go. First of all, the profitability, even the Chinese is coming down to do it. So it means there is a good return on if you do proper investment. But you must teach them the best professional practices so as to mine and make a living. But don't take the bread out of their mouth. The definition of the galamsey itself is not correct. Anything which is illegal or not proper, right from the mining method, the processing, management. This galamsey, in which case the leakage is from the multinationals to the smuggling of the gold. It's all galamsey.
But the nation is also saving its rivers and forest resources. There is a popular belief out there that people get into galamsey because they have no other means of livelihood. But the executive director of the Center for Social Impact, Richard Elima, tells me the motivation for galamsey does not hinge solely on livelihood.
There are those who do it because it's artisanal mining. Their ancestors handed down the trade to them, so they do it. So if you go to some of the communities, mining communities, they will tell you that, oh, my grandfather was a miner, my father was a miner, and I also do mining. And they don't do it because of the economic benefit. They do it because it's a traditional source of livelihood, which they do. So that group is there. Then there is also that group who think that they have access to money. Some Ghanaians think they have access to money and capital, so they can also do mining. If Anglo Gold can come from South Africa and then come and mine, why can't me, a Ghanaian, if I have the money, why can't I also mine? They are also doing the mining. They do that for economic reasons. And then the third group are the foreigners who have read about Ghana being rich in minerals, and they pack bag and baggage and come down to Ghana and then do the mining, disregarding our laws. And the funny thing is, those who are funding galamsey, most of them live in Accra. And they are not poor. They are not poor. They are very rich politicians, very rich entrepreneurs who have just invested their money in mining. So it is not a livelihood issue for them. Those who are doing it for livelihood are the artisanal miners. Prior to about 10 years ago, they were using rudimentary tools and techniques which didn't destroy the environment. And nobody even took notice of them.
Then chamfine machines came in.
Exactly. The Chinese introduced this chamfine machine, and all of a sudden everybody began to understand that, oh, we can do mining in a better way, get the gold faster, and then make a lot more money.
Elima says the use of the joint police and military task force to fight the menace of galamsey has proven to be unsustainable and inefficient, referencing similar approaches by previous administrations.
Government was right to take steps to address the so-called menace of galamsey. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And if you check our history, we've always had some form of intervention from government to address the problem. If you go back to history, I think in 1988, there was a military intervention to stop galamsey. Then in 2004, 2005, I think 2005, under President Kofo, there was what we called Operation Flashout. It was also a military intervention to stop galamsey. Then under President Mahama, we had the Interministerial Task Force against galamsey. And now we have Operation Vanguard. Now, if all these operations had succeeded, why are we still having another operation? The menace, or so-called menace of galamsey, is a product of poor regulation of the mining sector. And you made reference to water bodies that have been polluted. In the case of Obuasi, I can say on authority, I mean, I was born here, I schooled here, and I still stay here. I can say on authority that those water bodies were polluted long before galamsey became a menace. When Anglo Gold Ashanti, those days Ashanti Gold First Corporation, in their operations there was cyanide pollution of these water bodies. So currently, even if you go to these water bodies, there are still signboards mounted by the company that said, do not swim, do not fish, do not drink. The company put up all those banners and the billboards, and it wasn't the galamsey guys who did it. It was a large-scale miners. So the point I'm trying to make is that anytime there is poor regulation of the mining sector, whether large-scale or small-scale, the effect is what we have, environmental effect and so on. It just happens that in these days, the galamseyers who are taking the brunt of all these criticisms.
The Operation Vanguard team has a riverine unit working on the water bodies in the central region. For many, putting boots on the ground is never a solution to the problem of illegal mining. It has failed many times, and it doesn't look like it is really achieving all the expected results now. Question is, how much longer will the ban be in place? When the soldiers and policemen return to their barracks someday, what force will stop these hungry, daring and fearless young men and women from venturing into the pits and on the rivers to mine their way out of poverty? The multi-sectoral mining integrated project document has many fine proposals, but until government finds a practical approach to implement these proposals, the hard work of the soldiers chasing galamsey operators in the forest and on the rivers will not yield the expected results.